Welcome back. Israel and Hamas reportedly closing in on a hostage deal. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Hamas would release a number of women and children hostages in exchange for the same number of Palestinians who are held in Israeli prisons right now. Also, a pause in fighting is expected. But Israel and Hamas still disagree on how long that pause should last. Joining me right now is Iranian-American entrepreneur, Edison Alpha CEO, and Pishevar Institute Chairman Shervin Pishevar, back with us. Shervin, great to see you.
Ryan.
Thanks very much for being here. You've been on with me in the past to talk about startups and how you invest in these growth companies, but you are also of Iranian descent and have a 6-step proposal to bring peace to the Middle East. Tell us your ideas.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maria. I am very affected, as everyone is, by 10/7. That's Israel's 9/11. And the largest number of Jews were killed in one day since the Holocaust. And it's important for the world to let that sink in. And we're living in an upside-down world where Hamas is being celebrated in the streets, and TikTok algorithms are pushing bin Laden as a hero, and we need moral clarity. And so our institute started to work on a proposal. We're calling it the Cyrus Accords, after Cyrus the Great, who liberated the Jews 2,500 years ago and returned them to their promised land, rebuilt their temples in Jerusalem. There's an ancient history between Iranians and Persians and Jews, and that alliance is a natural alliance that needs to continue in the future. And the irony is that the Islamic Terrorist Republic is the one that's been funding Hamas and funding Hezbollah as a state sponsor, and that needs to be addressed. So the six-step proposal of a path forward is very clear. Step one, eliminate and disband Hamas, the murderous terrorist organization. Step two, bring freedom to the Palestinian people, Gaza, and bring freedom to the Jews and the world from being hostages of Hamas. Free all of the Israeli hostages in Gaza, get them home, and return them safely to their families in Israel. Protect Israel's homeland security, sovereignty, and reestablish Israel as a sanctuary for the Jewish people. Step four, the sanctuary. This sanctuary is made all the more important by the genocidal murder that we saw on 10/7. And the subsequent ugly revival of anti-Semitism worldwide. Jews are not safe anywhere in the world, and Israel must always remain a safe haven for their people. Step five, peace. Once Hamas is eliminated and disbanded, enter into multilateral talks, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, or UAE, as trusted sponsors of a Palestinian state to establish a two-state solution whereby peaceful relations and respect for one another's sovereignty is affirmed, if and only if a sovereign Palestine is terrorist-free. Not one single terrorist can have any role in leading the Palestinian people in the future. And finally, step six. As an investor, this is, I think, an important part of reconstruction and reestablishing peace. As part of a comprehensive peace accords, establish a multinational $100 billion fund administered by a trusted state sponsor like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, to rebuild Gaza and the West Bank with modern infrastructure, schools, housing, and healthcare, and welcome the Palestinian people to the international community of peaceful nations.
And I like the idea that you talk about bringing an outsider in because, you know, all of this protesting, these pro-Palestinian protests, this hate against Israel, what these people forget is that the Palestinian people and the Israeli people are the victims here. The Palestinians are upset, and yet look who's running Palestinian people, Hamas, the terrorists.
Absolutely.
Shervin, I'm glad that you were thinking about this and have come up with this plan. We're going to follow that. I want to switch gears and ask you a little about finding growth while you're with us today, and also about the news that we've been reporting this morning about OpenAI. And former OpenAI CEO Sam Altman now joining Microsoft to lead its new advanced AI research team. Of course, you know he was ousted by the board of his company, OpenAI. Microsoft stock is trading up this morning on it. I know you know him. You've sent a supportive tweet about this. How do you read it?
Well, Sam Altman is one of the most brilliant technology entrepreneurs and leaders in our world. He's already put a dent in the universe at a very young age. I met him when I was also young once at the launch of the App Store when Steve Jobs was announcing it in 2008. We were two young entrepreneurs backstage launching our apps and excited about how the app revolution was going to change the world. And what he's done with OpenAI is an incredible achievement. This is, at the end, an example of Silicon Valley companies not having great board governance, not having great boards, and a repeated pattern, as we saw at Uber, of boards failing and their companies and their governance, and getting rid of incredible founders like Sam, like Travis Kalanick, like Steve Jobs at Apple. This is a pattern that needs to be addressed, and board governance and board structures needs to be changed to stop this kind of disruption, because while we're trying to compete with China, they're not having any of these issues. They're not getting rid of their Sam Altmans. They're pumping money into sovereign supremacy through quantum computing and AI. Yeah. And Microsoft really at the end is the big winner here. They did the coup against the coup, and now they have Sam, and I can predict to you that droves of engineers at OpenAI are going to join Sam and Microsoft. So I'm pretty long on Microsoft at this point.
Wow, that's a great analysis. Shervin, real quick, because you were a great investor in so many of those early stage companies which became big moneymakers. I'm talking about things like Uber and Rent the Runway. Give us your sense of how AI plays out and where the growth story is. If you had to predict the next 5 or 7 years or so, where is the growth within technology?
Oh, it's beyond technology. AI is the most powerful technology in human history. And AGI is going to continue to advance. Every industry in our world will be changed by AI. And it's going to lead to incredible growth. And it's also going to lead to incredible job disruption. And so we've been working on ideas at the Pishevar Institute of finding ways where you could have jobs that are being replaced by automation and AI create small business opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities. In the case of Uber, having Uber drivers own fleets of self-driving cars so that they can make income, passive income, and have a small business and not lose a job and be unemployed, but be proud business owners. And then finally, I just want to say one thing about Iran and Israel. Biden's support of Israel has been very commendable, but at the same time, Biden's support of Israel needs to be equally strong. He needs to be equally strong in his opposition to the Iranian terrorist regime. Right. There should not be any negotiations on the Iran nuclear deal, and we need to really support the Iranian people to also become free after 44 years of being held hostage.
Shervin, it's good to get you on the show and your take on all of that. Thank you, sir. Shervin Pishevar joining us.